Yes, yeah,
Legend
yeah.
Cruises?
No, well, it's portstevens.live.
Do you want a hashtag about your cruises or not?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, okay.
Are you switching live? We're live. Hey, okay. So, welcome to Port Stephens Live. We're out here. It's a bit of a cold day. There's a few rain squalls around. We're out near Point Stephens, where just about a week ago, 250 years previous, Captain Cook came sailing along on the Endeavour and he named the port, and he named this point, Point Stephens, after the first Lord of the Admiralty, Sir Philip Stephens. So we're here almost exactly 250 years later, within a week, and the weather could be better. We're doing a virtual whale watch. Haven't seen any whales yet, but we've got no passengers on board, just our film crew and a small team of experts. We're all social distancing, and we'll see how we go. Fingers crossed, early in the season for humpbacks, but we have had a couple come through already. So we're looking everywhere, because at Point Stephens, the humpbacks come in pretty close to avoid the East Australian current. So if you've watched Nemo, Finding Nemo, you'll have heard about the EAC, which was that hot current that flows all the way down the east coast of Australia from the Great Barrier Reef. And the EAC is what the whales and turtles catch a lift on going south. Conversely, this time of the year, they're all going north from the Antarctic, where they've been feeding over the summer months. So they've got to get away from that current. So by coming close along the coastline of New South Wales, they get out of that hot current. In fact, they can pick up a little bit of a counter current flying along our beaches going north. Hence, one of the reasons why you have such good sightings over the next 3 months, June, July, bit of August, they're going north, and then September, October, and a bit of November coming back south. Anyway, keeping our eyes peeled for that telltale blow. Can you see the lighthouse on that if you direct? Yeah? No. Oh, okay, you can't. The pole needs what? Oh. And you can't control it from there. So we have a lot of new technical equipment on board. So there's a whole new language that we're learning with all this AV specialty cameras and the control mechanisms. I believe I'm a bit of a shadow at the moment. Mind you, I always... We're looking for the blow or a splash. Sometimes they wave their pec fins, and that's always a good thing. A few tail splashes, or of course if you see a breach, then 40-ton whale jumping out of the water leaves quite a splash. You see it for miles. So as we come to the point here, the sea gets a little rougher. We do the dance. Brent?
Get a picture of the sun on that island, though.
Oh, sun looks nice on that island over there. That's Shark Island. Over on our starboard bow,
Okay, Brad. When you're ready.
Shark Island. Point Stevens Lighthouse over the back there. One of the oldest operational lights in Australia, certainly on the east coast. Built in 1861 when Port Stevens was, believe it or not, a busy commercial port shipping thousands of tons of timber. It was also, of course, a fishing port, lots of lobsters in this area. And during the 1800s, in fact, until quite recently, before the war, Second World War, really the port was only accessible by sea. So everything came in from Newcastle and Sydney into the port. There are apparently more shipwrecks between Seal Rocks, about 35 nautical miles north, and Newcastle, 15 nautical miles south, than anywhere else on the coast of Australia, except Bass Strait, that notorious stretch of water between mainland and Australia and Tasmania. More shipwrecks there than you can poke a stick at. But we're second, bit of a notorious thing. But you can see the islands and the rugged coastline here. Point Stevens is the easterlymost part of the Hunter coastline, so it juts right out into that east coast current, which is why it's such a fantastic spot to see whales from. Port Stevens, very photogenic, I think you'll agree. Apart from the light station built in 1861, pretty much everything looks about the same as it did when Captain Cook came sailing along 250 years ago last week.
And we're back to having this part of our whale highway. This is where we consider start point of the whale highway.
So this is what we consider the Humpback Highway once we get just past this point, and 37,000 plus humpbacks are about to pass this point over the next 3 months.
Back to you, Brad.
Back to you, Brent. The old ruined Lightkeeper's Cottage over there, sitting on top of Point Stevens. It was my home for a little while. I spent a long time. It was the reason why I came to Port Stevens, was to be the, hopefully it was to have been the last caretaker of the lighthouse. I didn't know I was going to be the last caretaker of the lighthouse because unfortunately it got burnt down in a tragic moment and slipped in between the cracks of transfer from the feds to the state, and sadly the cottage is just a ruin. But the lighthouse itself remains intact and operational.
Back on you, mate.
Back over to you, Brent. Oh. Back on me.
Actually, no, that's Brad.
Good.
I thought you'd stop. There it is, the lighthouse. If I could stand up over
Who's on now? Okay.
Camera 3 is on now.
Bit of rain coming.
Oh, Eric, your YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming such as such.
rain shower just coming in here. Okay, back on. I'm gonna have to cover up this electrical equipment here. Just going to spin around a little bit. That box there needs a cover. You could probably throw this over the top of it too, these wet weather pants, and chuck a bit of rope on it. I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'd be more worried about that box there. Hope you're not live still, are you? You're not live, are you?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, you have to be a bit careful, love, about the
Well,
swearing bit.
I don't mean to swear. It's more about the rain on YouTube. Next time the silent, unnamed,
Yeah.
unfilmed camera.
Oh, here we go. We've got some dolphins coming
I was just
in.
thinking about that little dog, Charlie.
Yeah, right. I know. Might be a seal. Here they go. No, we got dolphins. Yeah. We got some dolphins here. Are they showing up on that front camera? They look all right. So we've been joined by a little pod of short-beak common dolphin, Pacific common dolphins. Don't use the port like bottlenose, but they hang out off the coast. Sometimes we get some huge transient pods of common dolphin, thousands literally, but today just a small resident pod hangs out. And these are the guys that we take people swimming with. Dolphin Swim Australia and Imagine Cruises partner up to produce these excellent swims where you can get in the water and we slowly move along, got your snorkel on, your wetsuit, and the dolphins swim just in front or side by side with you. It's a unique swim in New South Wales. I believe we're the only operators that offer the swim up close and personal. Are you still there, Miko? Yep.
Here they are.
Very cool. I love these little guys. They're definitely the friendliest of marine mammals that we see along our coast. They, as I say, only find them offshore, but they'll come, as soon as they hear you, they'll come screaming up and often come for a run along on the bow. want to see more of how to swim with Common Dolphin, just log on to the Dolphin Swim Australia website and you can see all sorts of fantastic things. We've been 10 years it is this year that we've been offering dolphin swims with Dolphin Swim Australia. Life-changing experience for some people. Get in the water with these very bright interactive mammals.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
When they tie up ships, do they tie them hard to the dock?
Reasonably, but of course they've still got to allow for tide.
So
Yeah.
they couldn't.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously they have numerous lines
Yeah.
with a certain amount of stretch,
Yeah.
and the crew are responsible for sometimes easing those. So
Yeah,
they
okay.
generally put the lines on drum winches so you can tension them or ease them.
You have to drill some holes in these plastic boxes with the wires.
Yeah, yeah,
And I suggest you get a small one with that box.
yep.
Is the light timed, or is it a light centric thing that it's on at the moment?
Yeah, the new light they've put on is on all of the time.
Oh,
Yeah, they seem to. It may be that it's triggered with the low cloud, but they put a new light in there. You would have seen when we were up in the tower. Okay. Okay. So we're heading north along the Humpback Highway up towards Bundlebar Island. Now up in front of us there are a number of islands. In fact, right in the distance is Broughton Island, which is New South Wales' largest coastal island. Bundlebar Island at 11 o'clock. Right in front of us is Little Island, and Cabbage Tree Island is off on our port side a bit further. So we're going to head along this Humpback Highway, keep a good lookout. As I say, early in the season still at the moment. In another few weeks there'll literally be dozens and dozens of whales probably within a few nautical miles of us. So we tend to talk about nautical miles when we're at sea, which is approximately 1 nautical mile is 2 kilometres. So just to give you a bit of a sense, I know some of our younger viewers probably won't know what a mile is, but at sea we talk miles. So Port Stephens is the largest marine park in New South Wales. In fact, it's the largest marine park south of the Great Barrier Reef, which is the world's largest marine park. Commodore Marine Parks is that they give opportunities for certain areas of habitat to be given maximum protection, which means you can't go fishing in some areas. Most of the Port Stephens Great Lakes Marine Park, 98,000 hectares of waters that include the coast out to 3 nautical miles, the bay and the major parts of the river systems, including the Mile Lakes. Most of it you can go recreationally fishing. The areas for commercial fishing are a bit more limited. And then the smallest area, 17%, is in what's called sanctuary zone. That means you can't go fishing, you can't take anything out of them, but you can go swimming and diving in those sanctuary zones. And they're at the business end, conservation. So Port Stephens, we're very fortunate. It is a beautiful place, very different sort of geology here. If you're more aware of Sydney, even the Central Coast, or Newcastle, only 15, 20 nautical miles down the coast, is all sandstone, whereas Port Stephens is a complex area where various plates all join up, and this is a volcanic region. So the port is technically a flooded volcanic river valley, and very different type of geology. What do you see? More dolphins? So of course we're very aware of the social distancing out here. We still need to observe the 1.5 metre distance.
It's very easy to forget when you're walking
Easy
around
to
the
forget
boat.
when you're walking around on a relatively small boat. Seems odd being out on a commercial vessel with no passengers.
It was lovely to go out for a real meal the other day, though, wasn't it?
Oh yes, we had our first restaurant, sit-down restaurant meal the other day. That was lovely.
No one there. There's very good service.
No one there except us.
And 3 other people
Oh yes, 3 other people.
over the other side. It was wonderful. Okay.
Mhm.
About there's a number of restaurants and places around Port Stephens that are now starting to open for 10 people at a time. We'll be talking about them next week.
Right. So this was the first weekend that there was a certain opening up where families could go out and take their kids to a playground, and it was wonderful. We had, for the first time in about 8 weeks, where we've been able to see people playing in those around the beaches and the playgrounds. Tourism still hasn't opened up yet. We're still in that early stage, but locals can at least take their families out into the sun. And there are lots of little restaurants and cafes that are now able to open up to 10 people at a time.
They're doing takeaway cocktails.
Oh, lots of take. We are now officially the takeaway capital of New South Wales. You can take it all away from Port Stephens and leave it to find a whale. That's it. That got you on your feet for a moment, Aaron.
Biggie drank all the rum. There's a funny little twister shower out there.
Over there, yeah. were out here a few days ago and had our first 2 whales of the season, but I am not seeing any blows at all today. Cute little bit of rainbow over there on the horizon, but no whales as such. Now there are some fantastic spots to spot whales from along our coastline. So even without jumping on a boat, which is obviously the best way of seeing whales up close, but you can go to a variety of headlands. South of Newcastle, there are some great vantage points. Nora Head at Lighthouse, around the base of Nora Head, south of Newcastle is a great spot. The Wobbecal track along the coastline is great, and the Redhead, Glenrock Lagoon, and oh, here we go, we've got some more dolphins joining us here. Have a little flick down into the water and see if he's still running. Can you see him there? We got him there. Some more of our friendly dolphins. Yes? Fantastic. And then north of Newcastle, once you come past Newcastle, Redhead, and then you hit Stockton Bight. Now that's an interesting spot because it's a long beach. It's virtually 10, 12 nautical miles long. Not the greatest to spot whales from because they tend to run from headland to headland. So once you get up to Port Stephens Boat Harbour and Fisherman's Bay, it's not even bad at Barooby Point. At the Crest Cafe you can often see whales, but Barooby Point is a good spot, but my pick is probably Boat Harbour and Fisherman's Bay. We can stand on the headlands there, they're open, national park sites, but still permissible. One of the best spots is Point Stephens, but of course you've got to be careful because of the Fingal Spit. So parking at the surf club and then walking north up the beach, you can get to the Spit at low tide. As long as there's no water running across it, you've got a good hour and a half, and then you can follow the trail. It's a well-made path all the way to the old lighthouse, and that's it's open. I've checked with National Parks, it is strictly open, but of course they always want to caution folks, it's an adventure tour because you've got to cross the Spit. 15 people lost their lives through trying to cross the Spit at the wrong time over the last 80 odd years. So don't take it lightly. Consult your tide tables, download an app, and as I say, if you get there just before low tide and it's dry, you're good to go. But you do need to watch the Spit. And I lived over on the island. If it's dry at high tide, you've got absolutely no problems at all. But it is a tidal risk. Don't get stuck there on the island. So we're going to wind our way between Bundlebar Island and Little Island, and then we're probably going to head back into the bay. There. Brent, you want to? Yeah. Oh, he's filming. That's good. Pardon? Broughton. So up on the horizon, about 10 nautical miles away, is Broughton Island. It's a fantastic spot, particularly for diving and snorkeling. I believe both Let's Go and Feet First Dive are running tours out there at the moment, and a great spot to go. We do take people to camp there on the island, usually in the summer, and we do run within Vision our super fast red rocket trips up to there on a daily basis in the summer. You can have a snorkel or a wander on the island. Has a little old fishing village. Yeah. Okay. So imagine we'll be running trips to Broughton Island again. I believe the camping site though is closed at the moment, so you can't take people to camp there. Great fishing spot. Lots of penguins, shearwaters. In the summer, over 100,000 pair of shearwaters are nesting on the ground, so if you are camping out there, it's quite an experience, especially if you get a mutton bird in your sleeping bag during the night. Never quite the same again. Cabbage Tree Island is up in front of us. We're going to have a quick look at that before we dart back into the bay.
Might be some seals.
Oh yeah, let's see some seals. So in the winter, we have found over the last 20 plus years there's a whole bunch of seals have started to come up. There's southern fur seals. So let's go and see whether we can find some.
Back on you, Brent. That's on you, Brent.
Okay. So despite the fact that it's a bit grey today, we having little bits of sun come through the clouds, really very pretty as we head inshore towards Cabbage Tree Island. Cabbage Tree Island is a very interesting island because it is the only rainforested island along the coast of New South Wales. Of course, Lord Howe has rainforest, but it's not a coastal island. It's a long way off our coast. But this island was discovered in the 1800s to have a colony of Gould's petrels, and it's the only place that the Gould's petrel for many years naturally nested on the forest floor of the rainforest. And we'll have a quick look at that as we swing around the western side of the island in a moment. But still keeping a good lookout for whales, but not looking very hopeful at the moment. Here. Yum.
That looks good, Brent. Right. Funny little afternoons.
Oh.
I know. So do. I do. Really do.
Is Brent's camera microphone working? No.
His camera's on at the moment.
Okay.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the long weekend coming up and the fact that the official whale season opens on the 1st of June. This is what we call the whale discovery tour. Normally we've been running whale discovery tours, but that means we don't guarantee the whales. But after the 1st of June, come live with us, we have to guarantee it or we'll get the money from the water.
Can I talk? So officially the whale season starts on the 1st of June. I'm hoping that we'll be able to take people out here, at least in small numbers, with Imagine Cruises. And fingers crossed that we can offer that. Otherwise we'll be virtually watching them as we are now.
But we are able to go out by our brother boat.
And we might be able to take folk out on Envision on the Shorten Whale Watch. It's a very quick boat. Looking over on our port side there's a big cave, a sea cave. Shakti, can you focus Brent on that? That is a lava tube, and back 300 million years ago, molten lava poured out of that tube there, and still today you can see that massive cave that goes down to the center of the earth. So as we swing around this northeastern point of Cabbage Tree Island, we'll keep a good lookout for seals. This is one of their chosen hauling out spots around here. Bit of a swell today. Had pretty heavy weather along our coast over the last couple of days. Just started to settle down. There's some more up high on the eastern side of this gully. Usually we'll go in quite a bit closer, but not today with that swell. But you'll see there's a couple here, maybe some more right down the other end.
Aaron reckons it's counting 5.
5. So Aaron's counted 5. How many can you count? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah. Seals. It's a bit of a mix of New Zealand and Australian fur seals. I've never been able to sort of see any difference, except that the Australian fur seals seem to eat fish. Fur seals eat fish. Apart from that, they all seem very similar.
We might make you a complaint for that.
They seem to get on very well together, although I fancy the New Zealand ones are hiding on the eastern side and the Aussie ones are on the western side, but they seem to get together, the boys and girls. Distant relatives of the bear, and that's not the koala bear. It's the northern hemisphere bear, very similar front end, the business end. love eating fish or fish. All right, we better get. We'll keep going. See what else we can see. They're hiding right up out of the water today. They don't want to get wet. They're not going in. Yes. They'll be up to 30 or so there in another month. We'll come out and visit again and see how many there are there. Back on. So we're coming around to the northwest tip, Cabbage Tree Island, into what's called Providence Bay, and I believe Providence Bay was named by Governor Macquarie's wife, Elizabeth Macquarie, when they were visiting the area, exploring the area in a boat called the Lady Nelson, which was a centreboarder built, I believe, in the UK, and then sailed out here, and Macquarie used it extensively for charting the coastline, and often came with his wife Elizabeth, and I think they got caught in a bit of a blow, couldn't get into the port, and they just hung out around the back here of Yakabar Headland, the northern headland, and she named it Providence Bay because she thought it was providential. I think she might not have been feeling very well, so they took shelter around the back here, and it became known as Providence Bay. So Yakabar, the highest of the coastal volcanic peaks, just like its counterpart, Tomaree, and those magnificent heads that mark the north and south side of the port. And we should acknowledge the Worimi, the traditional owners of the lands of Port Stephens, and the Worimi and their elders, past and present, have lived around the shores for, it's believed, somewhere around 12,000 years. And still many Worimi, of course, in the area today, and we're very thankful to have our brothers around us, still very involved in showing people their beautiful lands, traditional lands. So looking over onto this western face of Cabbage Tree Island, you'll see the rainforest that makes this island so unique. The cabbage tree palms on these two western valleys, many of them are over 400 years old. In fact, the rainforest itself is really quite ancient. A mix of fig, 7 different species of rainforest coastal fig. As I say, the island is home to Australia's rarest and most endangered seabird, the Gould's petrel, discovered by the British ornithologist James Gould back in the 1890s, I believe. So it is a sanctuary. No one is allowed on the island unless you're directly involved with National Parks teams that have been looking after the petrel on the brink of extinction 30 years ago. It's been part of a massive recovery campaign. Sadly, it was a result of the rabbits that were dropped onto the island and rats that might have escaped from ships many, many years ago.
Right on the Cabbage Tree Farm.
And they ate the understory of the rainforest, which protected the ground nesting Gould's petrel from all sorts of ills. So for a while, the remaining petrels had to be housed in nesting boxes. The rabbits and rats were eliminated by national parks, and now, as you can see, the understory of the rainforest has grown back and the birds are back nesting on the ground where they're supposed to be. Fantastic island. We come snorkeling here. Imagine comes and anchors in this little bay in the summer, and we take people guided snorkeling tours around this beautiful little bay. Absolutely fantastic. Very pretty underwater, some corals and lots of different fish.
There's the nudibranch here, Frank, that rare one, the only one, the donut nudibranch.
Oh yes, we have a donut nudibranch here that I've just been reminded, I think it's unique to Port Stephens. Nudibranchs are like very, very colourful, large underwater slugs.
Nimbrotha, there you go, donut Nimbrotha.
Nimbroka.
Nimbrotha.
Nimbrotha?
Nimbrotha. Yeah. Nimbrotha. Like brother, but brother.
Oh, like my brother.
Brother.
Nimbrotha. We have lots of seahorse in the bay, the white seahorse. What have we got? Oh, an eagle up there. Fantastic. It's all going on here. Nearly every island and hill and headland has got at least one nesting pair of sea eagles. The white-breasted sea eagle is Australia's second largest raptor, and there's lots of them here. As their name suggests, they like eating fish, but they'll eat anything they can get their claws around. Lift off the ground. I've been told not to joke about babies being lifted up by sea eagles, so I won't. But it is one of the reasons why the population is so small on the peninsula. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Well, that's Ayers Rock over there on our port side. We bought it off the Uluru traditional owners and towed it down here fairly recently. And we promise we won't let anyone climb it.
No, it does. It looks like we call it Ayers Rock in the street.
Yeah, we renamed it Bungle Bar. We got Ayers Rock at this bit. Look at the little rainbow just to the south. Very pretty. Alright, well we're going to head back in around the base of Yackabar, and we're going to keep a lookout for bottlenose dolphin. Port Stephens is famous for our resident bottlenose dolphin. We've got about 100 that live in the bay. They do travel out a little bit offshore, but they don't mix it up with the common dolphin. They don't seem to get on very well with each other. They're a little bit feisty. So it's only the bottlenose in the bay. So we'll go and have a look and see whether we can find any of our little grey brothers. to get there and back for her hair appointment.
Quite a while with it. She could cancel. I knew that was a good idea. It's really annoying. But it's okay.
Don't forget
Is that all?
I've got a
No,
microphone
that's
here.
okay. No, it's just me. Oh, I'm not worried about that. I'm only joking as well. I just got a feeling it's still fun. Time to get it back into the church. That'll be on the phone. How about you? How about you, okay?
Okay.
Oh no, I'm going to zoom on the print. So we're warming up to a nice sunset.
So we're warming up to a nice sunset, though it does look a little bit watery at the top of Yakaba. Not quite as easy to walk as the one up Tomaree on the south side, but both I believe are closed at the moment because it's a bit impossible to comply with social distancing rules on the narrow paths going up the top of these, but some of the national park trails are open, and it's been fantastic to see folks out with their kids going for nice walks, finally playing in the playgrounds that have been opened up and getting on their little boats, launching off the public ramps in the bay.
Zoom in. Zoom into that Greg.
Zooming in to these caves. I was told that the Australian Museum sent a team of scientists into that cave there on our right and discovered a bat. Not sure if it was the long-eared or the bent-winged bat. It was thought to have been extinct in Australia for over 50 years and was happily living in there, hanging around.
That's it. Beautiful. Right into that.
There are some very unique endemic things about Port Stephens, and we're very fortunate to be here. It really is one of the great estuaries of the east coast of Australia. Oh, it looks like we've got a fishing boat coming out. Port Stephens is very much a fishing place. It's been a fishing port for many, many years. In fact, during the Great Depression, when many of the mining families lost their incomes in the Hunter, they moved to the foreshores of Port Stephens to basically feed their families as the traditional owners had done for thousands of years beforehand. So we thought we were all going to be a bit like that with the COVID crisis. We're going to be hanging our fishing rods off the beaches. But luckily, Coles and Woolies stayed open. So I do most of my fishing at the seafood co-op. Always sure of a catch.
Back to you, Frank.
Spectacular north side, the south side rather, of this cliff.
Back to you, Frank.
Looks like that's Mick Annabelle in his new boat, Heberdell. He's going out long lining. On you, Mick. guys go out, right out to Middleton Reef and out towards Lord Howe Island and the Barcoo Seamounts, fishing for black cod, I believe, and all sorts of tropical fish. Oh, thank you. Back to me. Okay, so we're just coming around the southwestern tip of Yackabar Headland. I believe Yackabar is the oldest of the coastal peaks, as well as the highest, by some 60 million years. This is a bit of a hot spot just around here for dolphins, so keep a good look out. If we do see dolphins, they'll be bottlenose on residents. So Port Stephens was settled in 1826 by the Royal Australian Agricultural Company, and they brought 500 convicts in. Here we go, we've got some dolphins. So 500 convicts were brought out from the UK, settled here, and it was all about agriculture. They were trying to get, they had a 1 million acre grant of land from the Crown, and they were really trying to establish agricultural projects, sheep, wheat. It really wasn't very successful, and after about 30 or 40 years they basically gave up and moved to the Liverpool Plains, where the soil was more conducive to agriculture. Anyway, let's have a look at these dolphins. So these are some of our bottlenose dolphin. These are locals.
Are they on the boat?
No yet.
Down Brent at the moment.
Yeah.
Something's happening.
What's happening? Oh. Is that Brent's camera? It's me. Oh. I don't know where they went. Well, I don't know where they went. Alright, let's keep going. Where they went?
Is it a mystery?
There it is.
Maybe don't join us when we get up, pick up speed.
Yes.
I think Brent might have down some
What's that?
more, down some more dolphins up ahead.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
Okay. Okay. All right. So as we head into the port, Hawk's Nest, and the little community of Windawappa over on our starboard side there. And a good look. So it's not just dolphins that Port Stephens is famous for, but we have turtles and little penguin, and they can pop up absolutely anywhere. So a really good look around. It's quite smooth and protected inside the port today. Winds dropped right off, even though it's a bit wobbly offshore. It's nice and smooth in the port. Good visibility. Beautiful sunset, going right into the sun here. Oh, there she blows. We've got some more dolphins over about 2 o'clock towards Wynder Whopper. So let's go. So the big pods are usually female. There are a couple of pods of males. They generally call them alliances. Females are pods or bands, and the social grouping is by the older female, tends to be the matriarch that runs the big pod. We've had 6 babies born this past summer, and most of the babies tend to be born in the warmer months of summer. The calves, totally dependent upon their mothers for at least 18 months, because they are, like all warm-blooded mammals, they suckle. Females only ever have 1 calf at a time, never twins. So let's go and have a quick look before we head back in. Should be around here somewhere. Not very often at this time of the year.
What's that?
Blue bottles, really? Oh. Wow. Some of our spotters have just been seeing blue bottles, which usually are only seen here in the warm summer months, but because we're at the end of autumn, about to go into winter, usually don't see them, but the sea temperature is pretty warm, still over 18 degrees. Okay, here they are up in front of us, about 80 metres. So there are social distancing requirements between boats and dolphins. It's not for the COVID problem, but like all wild animals, we do need to treat them with respect. Sometimes they will come up a little closer. 50 metres is usually a good respectful distance, and as I say, if they want to come and play, they'll usually come up voluntarily, and that's acceptable, but we don't want to force an interaction. Just like we humans, they've got things to do during the day. They've got to look after their calves, sleep, feed themselves. Pardon?
You're off the camera, you
Oh, thanks. Where are they? Behind us?
Yeah, they're up. Oh, wait one. Ah, there he is. We're going down the sunset again.
Where are they?
It's flooding, Layla. Oh, yeah, where's Brent? Where is he?
Okay, off to our right, just in front of us here now. Hopefully we'll get a little interaction. We might get them on the pole camera in a minute.
Are they there?
Yeah.
This is much better at the moment. This is nice. You see?
Yep. Nice.
Synchronized swimming going on there. Oh, I can go see that, isn't it? Right on our bow there. On the bow.
Yep.
Come on, Sue.
We're on. So these little guys, very friendly, as you can see. They've come in to have a bit of a play with us,
And now they've gone. And now they've gone.
and now they've gone
I think so.
off to our port side there, I think.
I think it's time to go home.
All right. Well, that's a very nice little shot of some of our dolphins. We'll let them.
Let's see if they follow us
Go on.
home, but otherwise we'll just beeline.
it's fantastic. Well, we're going to go back to port, back to the marina, into the sunset. No luck with the whales, but we've had both oceanic common dolphin and some of our little bay bottlenose. So nice. And at this early stage of the whale season, that's not surprising that we're not always going to get a viewing of whales. But as every day goes past, there will be a higher incidence of seeing them along our coastline. All right. Well, that's a nice way to close off the day. There they go. Some of these large seabirds are Australasian gannets, born over the ditch in New Zealand. They come over to Australia to feed. I've got quite a few Kiwi mates like that. You want to close it off?
Say goodbye.
Yeah. So, nearly 4:30 this lovely afternoon on the east coast of Australia in Port Stephens, and beautiful sunset. It looks like it's going behind that big black cloud. We're heading back to the marina, and we'll close off another little test of Port Stephens Live. Thank you for joining us, and have a great time, and hopefully we'll be able to see you here in the not too distant future. So farewell from Port Stephens and our dolphins.